What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Now, today's video is going to be a fun video for me because, and hopefully for you, because that's why I create this content. For me, because I like creating content. I like learning about things. I like getting the horror knowledge out there. And for you, for someone who may be having a bad day, maybe having a really good day and just wants to watch some horror content, and you come right here to the right place because we talk all things horror and haunt. Southern California mostly, but hey, we are expanding little by little. As you saw with the podcast with our friends from over in Australia, that was a lot of fun. One of my favorite podcasts I think we've recorded to this day. But today, we're going to be talking about a haunt that I dearly miss, dearly miss. And that was something that was very short-lived, and it had 2 years under its belt in 2017 and in 2018. And if you see the title of this video, you know where I'm going with this. Horror Made Here, a festival of frights, put on by Warner Brothers themselves.
It's showtime.
Going to be a fun video. I wrote a script for this video, so if you guys don't know, and in case you guys you can't tell, in the last video that we did, the history of the nun, I read through the thing as a script, but I'm looking at you guys the entire time. I have a teleprompter now, so I'm literally looking at my teleprompter, but I'm looking at the camera because it is behind a Pepper. It's doing like a Pepper's Ghost effect right now, so I can see the teleprompter, but you guys can't. So that's the good thing. So we're gonna try to work on our speaking, especially getting direct eye focus to you guys as well. So bear with me. I'm gonna try my best to do more script and commentary videos like this, so I can practice on the speaking aspect of things with the teleprompter. That's why I bought it. I want to start using it more. So yes, bear with me. I have to go through the script for 2017 because I did not attend in 2017. However, in 2018, I did write script portions to it. Basically, you're going to be hearing me break down the entire events in 2017 and 2018. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to give my thoughts on what I think happened, and hopefully one day, with just the spark of a fan base, one day maybe Horror Made Here will reopen its doors once again and bring back the Festival of Frights. So without further ado, long intro, let's get into today's topic, and that is Horror Made Here, a Festival of Frights. The journey begins in 2017, the year the Nights of Horror was born. And no, we were very fresh and very new to the YouTube game at the time, so this one really skipped over our heads in the beginning, especially because we were so obsessed with Halloween Horror Nights at the time of making the channel. So we really dedicated and put all of our effort and time into Halloween Horror Nights. So we didn't really know that this event existed until honestly doing research for this video. Now, the 2017 concept was as follows. Warner Brothers was doing a special seasonal nighttime backlot experience where they would bring some of their iconic horror films to life for you to experience. They had a projection of the gremlins in a house looking as if they were causing chaos as they usually do. The overall theme to the main area was themed to It Chapter 1, as at the time that was Warner Brothers' biggest box office success, and it hit such a great impact that year in the world of horror. They also put a nighttime tour together for you that would take you around the iconic lot and sets of the studio for a little extra scare factor to it. As you drive along the studio, you arrive at your first location, which is the iconic woods scene. As you approach the woods area, your tour guide tells you about the location's iconic history of film and TV shows shot there, and then our first horror experience happens. A person is seen laying in the middle of the road as the tour guide drives closer to the body. Some vampires jump out, warning the guests they do not belong here. Now, as you progress down to the dirt road, approach the cabin in front of the lake, you are given more of the set's film history of the location, all while another vampire jumps out for that final scare in the infamous woods area. The tour guide then progresses through the backlot, sharing more history of horror around the backlot, such as shows like Dexter, Supernatural, and movies like Gremlins, Freddy vs. Jason. We then approach our back metro sets and see a tour crash into a light post, and a tour guide who isn't quite tour guidey? Well, wait, is that even a word? Anywho, she goes off on your tour guide, asking them if they've covered everything they filmed back there, and that they should switch because she is not given the proper information about the location. But something seems seriously off about her. We turn the corner and a familiar back alley is revealed with a green light and some fun music, as is revealed to be the shop from the iconic film Gremlins. If you guys don't know, it was shot in the back lot, the iconic entrance to that shady little store in the back alley. The tour continues on to its next location in front of another metro set, but this time it's in front of a theater. Baby Jane Hudson is revealed in front and greets you with a song and dance. It's a nice little tribute to classic Hollywood. And the next stop you approach is the front of an insane asylum where a patient is trying to get on the tour group and guide them to escape. And then the unthinkable happens. She opens the gate and boom, she escapes. The tour guide then moves down the street to a graveyard where we see a few zombies rush the tour car. They are quite comedic of what the tour guide had asked them. From here, they move to the front lot in between all the sound stages. The tour takes an end and you are let off in soundstage 48, where props and costumes from iconic Warner Brothers horror films are on display for fans to see and enjoy. Things from the Conjuring universe and It were huge on display. They offered fun photo ops, including one with the not so great looking Freddy Krueger. Okay, well, at least they tried, so A for effort, right? However, there was one haunted attraction that year, and it was the iconic Kneebolt house from the It Chapter 1 film. The experience follows Georgie, who requests your help to find his friends and his boat, of course, because why wouldn't you? It's Georgie, it's Pennywise. He's looking for his boat, man. They take you through the most iconic scenes of the first film, including the Richie Coffin clown room, which is terrifying to this day, and the burning hands reaching for you. Pennywise is in the sewer, and so much more. There are so many nods to the first It movie. It was just iconic and cool to see all that come to life. So overall, Warner Brothers did tap into the Halloween spirit by offering a nighttime version of their tour filled with spooks and surprises along the way. With the event being a success in 2017, Warner Brothers would come back bigger and better for 2018. Now, 2018 rolls around and we hear about this event through Midsummer Scream that year. Also, the first year we actually attended the event, We attended the panel and got some very amazing information about it. A Freddy vs. Jason experience, the return of the It maze, the Conjuring Universe maze, the Exorcist Forbidden screening inside of a church set. And the real reason I wanted to attend this event, the cherry on top for me, if you will, Batman Escape from Arkham. Based around the iconic and highly successful video game franchise. I grew up playing these games, and to see a maze built out of the iconic universe that was the Arkham trilogy, it was so fucking awesome. So let's break all this down. First off, when you approach the event, you walk into an awesome recreation of the wooden Joker mural from the Arkham Asylum video game. Now, as a fan of this game, I lost it for this. As you entered, you are greeted by a few original characters of the event, and then sirens go off. It's showtime. All the monsters are released, and it's time for the scares. The Festival of Frights has begun. Let's start with the Exorcist Forbidden screening. Now, there's not a lot of footage on this on YouTube, so I'm going to explain it as best as I remember. I know it was easily one of the scariest, it's easily one of the scariest movies of all time for me, and the experience went as follows. Because there's no footage on YouTube, I'm going to try to explain it the best I possibly can. You're invited into a church where they are hosting a screening of The Exorcist, urging people they did not want to do this. The eerie feeling of sitting in a church and having members of the church walk around and stare you down was very unnerving, to really say the least. The experience was about 15 minutes long, as they cut the scariest parts of the film and made it into a really cool mini experience. As the scenes intensify, things in the church also intensify right before your very eyes. Statue's eyes start glowing orange. Reagan then appears out of nowhere throughout the church until the final scene, where we see Reagan in front of the church, recreating the iconic statue rise up scene as she does in front of the Pazuzu statue at the very end of the film. The experience then comes to an end, and as you exit, there are people waiting to go to confession. Now, if you know anything about the Catholic Church, confession is huge in the Catholic Church, so this was kind of a remake and remodel of that. All in all, though, a great experience and a memorable one at that. Probably one of the scariest things I have ever witnessed. Next on our list was the Conjuring Universe, and as you wait to enter the Warrens Occult Museum, you wait in an attic-like area where things already start to seem a little fishy. And we're talking, these mannequins are all covered up to trick the audience to thinking whether or not people are actually real, covered in those. You don't know until you go into that next room and see a set of stairs. We then go to our tour guide, who goes to the second floor to check everything out because they say they've been hearing things, seeing things. She comes back saying she didn't hear or see anything, and then the nun slams the door. As you enter the museum, you start to see a lot of the familiar things you've seen throughout the film's franchise. You're welcome to look around until we go and look at the Annabelle display case, and that's the prized possession of that museum. And as expected, she's not there. Things happen throughout the room because of this, and we're moved into another room where they are trying to escape the now chaos of the freeing of Annabelle. Candles flickering and going out, bangs across walls, and lights are going crazy. You are then greeted by another investigator and brought into another room where you finally come face to face with the Annabelle doll in a children's bedroom. The room was so cold for the setting that it actually was really, really perfect. It actually felt like there was a presence there. The closet then opens up, and the infamous clap scene from the first Conjuring happens. A guest then goes near the closet and immediately gets pulled away. You then follow her into that next room where you are introduced to the basement scene of the first film of The Conjuring, mid-exorcism. You do see the demon go crazy. As you try to escape that, you see a lot of the iconic ghosts from the scenes throughout the Conjuring universe, where there you finally come to the end. In our last room, we have a setting with an old man sitting in a chair and a nun picture hanging on the wall. This is clearly a scene out of the second Conjuring movie. Then we look over to the nun portrait and see the shadow. Anybody knows the shadow scene from Conjuring 2? We know what happens next. The hands pop out of the painting, and suddenly it is very real. The nun jumps out of you, chases you out of the experience. And all in all, a fucking terrifying experience. Probably the best Conjuring I've ever seen anywhere. Now, Returning for 2018 was a fan favorite, that was It, but this time it would go under a new name, It Knows What Scares You. On one side, they had two really cool photo ops, one of Pennywise in the sewer with Georgie trying to get his boat, because they actually had little sewer sets right outside of that. The other was the Neibolt House facade, which they've used for the experience in 2017. The experience would be on the other side of this and would take you on a scary journey through Derry. We enter the Bowers residence, where we see the infamous Kill Them All broadcasted on the TV, with Henry's dad dead on the chair, just like in the movie. We then go into the next room, where we see a lot of posters, a lot of 80s references, which then transitions us into the Derry Library, where we see the boy with no head burned to a crisp. We then transition to a bloody bathroom where Beverly is freaking out, asking anyone that would listen to her to help. Anyone that would dare to listen. Meanwhile, Pennywise jumping out. We then leave that house, meet one of Henry's friends outside bullying the Losers Club. We then approach the basement scene, which is the iconic first film of Georgie yelling, "You'll float too." Georgie then jumps at the audience as he is terrifying with that voice. It's just an eerie image when I'm thinking about it. As you progress, you encounter one of Henry's other friends, and oh my God, is that AJ? As you walk down the hallway, you see a projection of a balloon floating towards you. It pops and Pennywise jumps out right behind you. Honestly, it was a really great, simple projection scare, and it scared the shit out of me. We walk through a ton of Georgie's arms hanging off the ceiling and missing children posters until we encounter a missing armed Georgie. As you turn the corner, you encounter a very sick lady. You know, the iconic sick lady. And as you approach a house with a familiar balloon stack, you enter the house greeted by the twisted face painted lady you see in the library. She gets you quite a few times as you walk through this little area into our next scene, the infamous 3-door scene, where you open each door and it consists of a surprise until you find that right one, and it takes you right to the infamous Richie Clown funeral scene. A lot of different still clowns mixed in with some actors that actually made it terrifying to walk through. We then reach our final room, where they encounter Pennywise and his lair. Kids are floating in the air, items everywhere, dates and all over the wall drawn in blood. As you exit the maze, Pennywise hits the final scare and sends you on your way. All in all, terrifying time. A Nightmare on Camp Crystal Lake. Well, it wouldn't be Warner Brothers even in the slightest if they didn't have Freddy vs. Jason, right? A Nightmare on Camp Crystal Lake takes you to the infamous jungle set that Warner Brothers has on their lot. Now, this was something huge in 2017. Now you actually get to walk it in 2018. As you take a ride on the tram over to the location, the tour guide shows you around the lot first, giving you a lot of awesome horror movie locations, including driving around the back lot late at night, just before you arrive at the jungle set. As you exit the campsite, you are approached by a camp counselor who is beyond terrified. As you approach the lake set with the dock, you see Jason Voorhees standing there at the edge of the dock. The counselor tells the group to remain very quiet and to sneak by him. As you make your way halfway through, Jason is alerted and rushes towards the group and goes after the camp counselor. Now, as you progress through the campsite, you see houses that are on fire, and of course, within that, Freddy Krueger pops up for the first time. And as you're walking through the trail to get to the campsite, you see Freddy Krueger dressed up as different camp counselors, different characters that you would see at camps. All the while, camp counselors are also begging for help as you approach the sign that says Camp Crystal Lake, which is so cool. It looked so awesome. It was popped huge for that one. You see a wide variety of famous Jason kills as you're walking up into the cabins. Upon entering the cabins, you have counselors running back and forth in between beds through guests, warning everyone about Freddy and Jason. You make your way to the Jason Shrine, and Freddy is terrorizing guests. And this Jason Shrine looks something straight out of the movie. As you exit out of the cabins, you see Freddy one last time before returning to your cart and back to the event grounds. Overall, as a fan of both these films, both Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street, and of course, Freddy vs. Jason, it was awesome to really, really, at the most, be immersed into a Freddy vs. Jason film. And last, but certainly not least, Escape from Arkham Asylum. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a diehard Batman fan, especially the Arkham trilogy. Those games to me were my childhood growing up, and I still think they are honestly some of the best video games ever made today. So you can understand my excitement when I found out this was going to be a maze at Horror Made Here. To get the opportunity to step into the universe and see my favorite villains throughout the entire Arkham universe was so cool to me. And to me, this maze did not disappoint one bit. You enter Arkham Asylum and you are greeted with your very own mugshot. You then are approached by Harley Quinn, who introduces the group to Judge Joker. The sets for this one was really freaking cool, and honestly, it looked like something that was straight out of the video games. Joker then sentences you to Arkham Asylum. Harley Quinn then puts the group into an elevator, and down you go. While you're here, you hear the Joker talking to you, and then out of nowhere, an inmate pops up and guides you through the basement level of the asylum. As you walk through, you are introduced to some of Batman's most iconic villains, including Two-Face, Riddler, the Joker, Penguin, Harley Quinn, Scarecrow, and Poison Ivy. As you make your way through all that, at the end, the grand finale, you see the Joker himself, and he leads you to one of two ways that end up meeting back to each other. And honestly, the final room was probably the best pop ever, because you are also greeted by Harley Quinn once again, and at this point, she's trying to taunt Batman, and you hear Batman's voice in an audio cue, and then the maze comes to end. But sadly, that was the only time you got Batman in this maze. This was one that I will never forget as a lifelong Batman fan, and I wish they would bring something like this back again, because that was amazing. On top of all the amazing mazes and attractions they had available for the event, they also included a Lost Boys arcade, a Little Shop of Horrors gift shop, and a True Blood bar that was a 21 and over experience. 2018's Horror Made Here was truly something special, and was a very, I was honestly just very happy and privileged to get to experience that when it was around. We were hopeful it was going to return in 2019, but unfortunately it never did. And now I know just before the pandemic, there was talks of bringing it back in 2020. Meetings were held and press releases were released about something they wanted to do and wanted feedback for. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the project was shelved and nothing ever became of it. Now, over the last few years, Six Flags Parks have had a few Warner Brothers IPs as mazes to represent the event, but nothing has come close to replacing what Horror Made Here was. I dearly miss this event, and I know a lot of people who talk about it, and they miss it as well. So now I turn to Warner Brothers. I hope one day you are able to bring back Horror Made Here, as it was a very loved event by the haunt community in Southern California. I know the complications of having it on the backlot can be a hassle, but I'm sure we can figure something out. Warner Brothers, the ball is in your court. I made this video because this event really was something beautiful, was something different, was something awesome. And I'm hoping that this video can reach executives, can reach the community. People will talk about it more. People will give their experiences on it, because this was honestly one of the funnest videos I've made in a long time, just to see the 2017 event, because I never got to, but to actually go to the 2018 event and reminisce on that. I do miss it, and I hope one day Horror Made Here could come back in some way, form, or capacity. But until then, we'll see what happens. We just got to keep letting Warner Brothers know this is an event we want back in Southern California, and this is an event we need back at Warner Brothers. So, with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video of the history of Horror Made Here to where they are today, and hopefully we can spark the light once again for Horror Made Here, a festival of frights. If nothing else more, I'm your host, Anthony. You're watching the Nights of Horror. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to leave a like on this video and leave some comments down. If you have some Horror Made Here stories, I'd love to hear them and reply. So leave your comments down below. Follow us on all of our social medias at the Nights of Horror across the board, except on X, just Nights of Horror. If nothing else more, stay spooky.